Hello, everyone. I'm live, and it's Tuesday, August 8th at 11:29 Eastern, which is 8:29 on, that's right, the West Coast. And you know what? I came out of here, and I did not bring my microphone up. So what I'm going to do, hey, Dan Dog, how are you? Is move a little closer. Hey, Dan Dog, how is the sound? Because I would like to avoid running downstairs to get... Hey, Karen, thank you for the investment. I can't believe he said that. Just wow. Oh, Hennessy, I guess I missed something. How is the sound? How is this? Oh, Mark Davis. No, Rick, you're the man. Hey, Rick, I got a bone to pick with you, though, man, real quick. I got a bone to pick with you. How is the sound? How is the sound? Sounds good? Awesome. That's all I need to know. Thank you, Go Warriors. Welcome. Hey, before I get into the Mark Davis issue, I do want to get this matter of the Google engineer off my chest. Melvin Lovejoy, welcome. How are you? And let me get this off my chest. I made a vlog earlier today that criticized the gentleman who made the the Google Engineer Anti-Diversity Manifesto, and I mean, this was my second one. The first one, I accused him of being immature, completely immature, and that was before I had any idea who he was. Why? Because only an immature person working at YouTube would write something like that. Someone just out of college, or not too many years out of college, in their mid-20s, and inexperienced with women, with girls, okay, as they say. That was an easy call, because that's exactly how it turned out. Now, the real issue, the one thing that a number of you, including you, Rick Rice, seem to forget, is you don't go into somebody else's workplace and use their computer system, or their electricity, or their space to communicate your issues about people, some of which you work with. And that's exactly what he did. And there's no other way to explain that than to say it was completely stupid and he deserved to get fired. You don't encourage that in people. I don't know what is going on in this world or what it's coming to. And it was a racial issue. I read the entire thing. It reminded me of William Shockley and his eugenics ideas of the 1950s, I think it was, 50s to the early 60s. Who was William Shockley? He's an electrical engineer who came up with this idea that blacks were, quote, intellectually inferior, unquote. And that's essentially what this manifesto guy was writing. And here Rick Rice comes up and says, well, as a black man, I actually have to agree with the other black man that, oh, you're wrong, Zenny, and, you know, you should have read it, and he had a right to say what he was saying. And no, he didn't. Not in the workplace, he didn't, okay? And he was also wrong, and I'm sorry, at the double nickel at 55, I would have thought that we were well past the point. I mean, well past the point where people are actually stupid enough to have ideas like that. But the simple fact that they are means we've done a horrible job of teaching people how racism, not just that racism is wrong, but that you need to be properly socialized, okay, in order, with people, all right, to get that there are people who are not like your stereotype. And this person did not get that memo. He didn't get that memo at a young age, which is a failure in our society. So when one of our own, Rick Rice, who really isn't one of our investors yet, come to think of it, but he is a consistent supporter and a friend of the nation, as we would say, or a Zinster, right? Well, I would think a Zinster. But he comes up and says, oh, hey, you know, as a black man, I believe with the other black man, you're wrong, Zenny. Wrong about what? I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. And just because someone writes a piece like that, that's critical of black folks, you as a black person should be insulted. And you shouldn't be afraid to be insulted. You should be insulted. And you should be disgusted that a company would harbor a person like that. You don't know what this person is doing engineering-wise to make it so that, for example, some YouTubers who are white can succeed and some who are black can't. Or you understand what I'm saying? Thanks, Rick Wright. That's all I'm saying. And in that, that's all I'm saying. And there was another thread where Shutton Sessions, who's a regular viewer, had attacked my point regarding Korea possibly being fake news, which I get. But then he introduced what we paid for to Israel. And I'm thinking, why would he, of all things to do, focus on Israel? My last name is Abraham. I'm part Jewish. I mean, has anyone figured that out yet? Okay? And I'm not by practice, it's just by the name. There's something that you need to understand about America, because a lot of people don't. We've done a lousy job of teaching American history, okay? Abraham is a name, a free name that blacks had. That means that if your last name was Abraham and you were in the United States and you were black, you were free. In other words, you were never enslaved. Or you didn't go through a path where you were enslaved, then got out and took another name that was a free name, okay? My last name is not Johnson. Johnson is a slave name. I'm being honest. There's a book called Black Names in America. It's at Cal. If you ever have a chance to go to the Doe Library, check it out. You can find out the history of black names. So, given that, why would I look at something like that and think, oh yeah, he's right about that? No, I do not like anything that smacks of something that is anti-Semitic. I just don't. Okay? Thanks, Jamal. I had to get that off my chest because there's, after that reading the manifesto and people coming at me, and I don't want to talk about, I want to talk about Mark Davis. So bear with me, please, okay? All 29 of you right now incoming, bear with me. Give me about 20 seconds, all right? And I'm done with it. But my point is, and the clock is ticking, that we had people coming at me with this pseudoscience, all right, about how this manifesto guy was right and everything else. He was wrong. You have kids, and some of you do. You don't have your kids do that at work. Go Warriors, you're 17 or 16. You don't do that, my young man friend, okay? You don't do that. It's wrong to do that at someone's place of business. You want your political view? You want to express your political view? Don't do it during work time. Do it off hours on somebody else's platform and start your own business around media where you can do your own commentary. That's how you do it. But what he did, he deserved to get fired. I feel nothing for him. Nothing. All right. Okay. I feel good. Or as James Brown said, I feel good. Da-na-na-na-na-na. Like I knew I would. Da-na-na-na-na. Anyway. Now, let's get to Mark Davis and that absolutely crazy comment that was brought to our attention today. Hey, Donis, how are you? And before I get to that comment, let me make sure I check this. Kook Snipe said you were with me. He was with me until the singing. Kook Snipe is trying to basically say I can't sing. So Kook Snipe, you're saying first I can't bowl. Now you're saying I can't sing. So when we get together, I will not only bowl better than you, I will sing better than you. I knew I would. The stream status is just okay, which means the show will go on regardless. All right. Hey, Raider Juice, how you doing? Welcome. I am outstanding now that everybody is here and you're here. And that is what's going on. I'm putting that on mute. I'm going to tweet this out right now. Thank you very much for... is Barry Lee here? Barry Lee going once, Barry Lee going twice, Barry Lee sold. Hopefully Barry Lee is Barry Lee. I don't barely. All right, enough of that from me. I have bought enough time to find that article about Mr. Davis, okay? Steve Macy says he needs another vacation. Man, I even have the first one. Real Raider says, what's up? Crawford 371 says Davis going kamikaze for Las Vegas. He stays, he will be afloat and more. Hashtag stay in Oakland. And Crawford says karaoke for the next live stream. Crawford, you've got a great idea. Now let me get to Mr. Davis, Mark, that is, and what he said today. I'm not going to grab the video and drag you down there to look at it. I am going to save you that eye strain, and I'm going to read it for you. What the news was today that was kindly done. And so, let's see here. It's, we've got, Raiders' divorce is finalized, but there are plenty of kisses left for, I don't get this article. This is in Yahoo Sports as of 5 hours ago. Let's see here. Practice gates finalized. This is nothing. The Raiders' divorce is not finalized. This is not what I'm talking about. Okay, never mind. Other than that, let's try something else here. This was News 3 Las Vegas. I'm going to try Twitter because Twitter is where I found it. Well, actually, it was text to me. And Twitter was where I saw the information. And let's see here. We've got Mark Davis. There's Mark Davis. I'm typing in Twitter right now, folks. And waiting, and then Twitter's changed. I click on latest. You have top and latest, okay? And I clicked on it, and it says, wow, Oakland Raider Mike says, this is 12 hours ago, another genius move by Mark Davis. The Vegas residents are going to regret all this soon. Karma coming from Mark Davis. And here is the KSNV News 3 article on the tailgating parking issue. 40 of you here. Welcome, everybody. And it says, tailgating room will be rare in Raiders Stadium parking plan. And this is by Jeff Gillian today. It's got a picture of the property. And it says, Las Vegas KSNV News 3 LV, which is Las Vegas, of course. At Mr. D's, Jim Jelinski, nursing a noontime drink, makes you wonder if the reporter had one himself, says the team better have space for tailgating. It gets you up in the mood for a game and nobody gets all revved up. And he says that, tailgating coming from Wisconsin. So does Raider Nation, the article goes on to read. And it says county code requires, well, actually the Clark County Planning Code requires 16,250 parking spaces, so the Raiders are in the hunt for almost 14,000 more spaces somewhere in the neighborhood. And County Commissioner Larry Brown, the chair of the Regional Transportation Commission, says other sports offer the Raiders a lesson. All right, whatever. Now, they say, oh, they've been talking to other people. Hey, how you doing? The Rolling 100, welcome. Says the Raiders study identifies 9 park and ride sites in the valley that could shuttle fans in. It also says casinos could be shuttle locations, but more than half the fans will drive, and more than 30%, it says, will walk. In the heat. Coming from resort garages or streets within a mile from the stadium. And actually, you know what? That street part of it was shut down. And as the article reports, we got some cold water Friday thrown on that on-street parking idea. There is no on-street parking to the west there. Clark County Commissioner Steve Sisolak, who said last week some landowners have approached the team offering to sell land for parking. In other words, cha-ching, more money. The Raiders parking consultant, Kimley Horn, estimates that when all types of transportation are taken into account, the team needs 12,110 parking spaces. If the monorail was extended to Mandalay Place across from the stadium, it would decrease the number of spaces from 11,024 thanks to fewer cars. The Raiders, in the meantime, are confident there will be enough parking. He told us, don't worry about it. With the parking, I might go broke, but it will all work out, says Las Vegas Review-Journal sports reporter and ESPN Las Vegas host Ed Graney, recounting his conversation at Raiders training camp last week with team owner Mark Davis. And that's when I saw Ed Graney, was that Saturday that we were out there with Forever Oakland. And the article ends with, that's what they call capitalism in a town about to enter the NFL. So there you have it, the first sign that basically the Raiders are admitting, you know what, this thing is costing more, as I told someone, $1 billion more than either party, the Clark County or the state of Nevada or the Raiders, have. And they got to figure out where to get it. That's the story. So I'll go back to your comments and discussions and questions. Oh, by the way, I'm trying to get rid of my iTunes here, and I just did. There's iTunes, it's gone. Bam, okay. That's gone. Now, we've got comments. Troy Pilling, how are you? Todd Christensen and Karen Christensen. We have a rare double appearance. Welcome, everybody. And we have, excuse me here. I keep trying to kill iTunes, but it keeps coming back. There it is. Force quit. Boom. Gone again. All right. Now, we have Go Raiders says, how's everyone in chat doing? And JT Day says, yeah, other people's money, ours. Maurice Keith says, Mark is already NFL broke. He's playing with other people's money. And I'm going to go out back, and Maurice Keith said, and I quote, I'm quoting Maurice Keith, dude passed on upgraded transportation infrastructure, and then he, let's see here, infrastructure, commercial retail percentages, 8,000 in parking, and a team-controlled stadium in Oakland. All for that BS in Vegas. Now, let's see here. That's, I don't know why this keeps happening with my iTunes keeps popping up. That's really weird. I'm trying to kill it. Force quit. iTunes force quit. Quit. And I want iTunes to quit. So anyway, there. We've got, let's see here. And everybody is here. Oh, Todd Christensen says, as I have said from almost the beginning, Mark Davis isn't going into Vegas to stay. He's going there to sell the team, and the stadium is just a pretty bow. Gen Y Progressive 83, which I guess means Gen Y was, this person was born in 1983, says, what's going on? What's it going to take for Mark Davis or anyone else that supports this move to have buyer's remorse over Vegas? You know, I believe they already do, Gen Y. And you know, Ty raises an interesting point. And so I'll get to that, Rick. I want to get to this. And so Gen Y informs, yes, I was born in 1983. But the problem, you have to remember, again, this plan was formed under a set of conditions. The NFL itself didn't lay out the conditions. It just said, hey, look, you have the right to go and relocate. But it didn't say it was conditional. That's where, and I chafe at that definition, because what the NFL gave the Oakland Raiders is the right to have two sites, Oakland and Las Vegas. So the condition that exists really is on the part of the Oakland Raiders themselves, not so much the National Football League. Where the conditions come in terms of writing, I mean real live documents that are conditional, are where we talk about the 13 agreements that have to do with everything from the main lease, which has already been signed and approved by the National Football League, to the, as of this reporting, still not signed, although I'm told they are supposed to be signed, non-relocation agreements, in plural, two of them, to the construction labor agreement, to the much talked about, seldom heard about, joint use agreement between the University of Nevada, Las Vegas and the Oakland Raiders. Basically, 12 documents still not done. This is August 8th. We got August 8th, September 8th, October 8th, October 17th. Clock is ticking. August, September, October. August, September, October. The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. So that's where we're at. And so we've got Crawford says the Flan Coalition lawyers are waiting for the perfect time to strike. Hennessy says, hey, Hennessy, Mark wanted everything free here in Oakland, but is willing to grow broke in Las Vegas. Thank you for pointing that out, Hennessy, formerly Maniac 5900. How does that make sense? Hennessy, it doesn't make any sense at all. The one question that we have never heard the answer to from Mr. Davis, Mark, is why is it that he is willing to give up so much and risk so much in Las Vegas and not in his hometown of Oakland? We've never got the answer to that. What's wrong? What's going on that all of these moves are being done this way? We don't have any answer. So we've got Go Warriors was saying something about, hey, Zany, this is better than a replay of an NFL Hall of Fame game that was played last week. I'm awesome. He says, you're awesome, Zany. Thank you. You're awesome. You guys make it awesome. Thomas Beltran. Hey, Thomas, haven't seen you in a while. Thomas says, I've said from the beginning, Mark Davis has no money, and no rich investor has come out in support of him. Well, actually, one did, but we know what happened with that case, right? Alex Barbosa says, pledge money, people, I did. And Todd, Mr. Barbosa, thank you very much for being one of Zinni62's newest investors, I might add. And thank you for that very gracious reminder, too, as well. It meant a lot to me to have you, chime in the way that you did as an investor. And that was absolutely fantastic. So I am, with that, going to put up the now somewhat famous PayPal. Hold on a second, folks. For some particular reason, I've got a problem where I'm trying to make sure my iTunes stayed down. It keeps popping up for the first time, and I'm trying to keep it down. So that's it's a little weird programming glitch there. But I'm trying to make sure it stays out of the way so that you all are not impacted. At any rate, what I am getting to right now is there is PayPal me, and there we go. All right, copy that, get rid of that, put that up there, and then, of course, invest. Thank you all. Thank you, Coog Snipe, for your investment last night. It was awesome. Now, I want to make sure I get back to the comments here. Donna says, bad experience in Oakland, talking about Mark Davis. I don't know. And Corvette says, if Raiders come back to Oakland, Corvette wants a new owner committed to the city. And Rick Rice says, he just really hates Oakland. I think it's pretty much that simple. That's what Rick Rice says. But Rick, why? Inquiring minds want to know, right? So Crawford371 says the NFL has to be embarrassed by the ineptitude that's going on with the Raiders in this business side. Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's the case. And Steve Macy says that the reason Mark Davis is trying so hard in this way with Vegas is that because he wants to be out of his dad's legacy. Interesting, but why not build on his father's legacy and build a shrine to his father right there in Oakland? When I designed the stadium and the concept I borrowed from the University of Phoenix Stadium with that barrel curtain wall, but the idea would be to have a portrait of Al Davis on one of the sides. But it also gives us a great surface for a lot of room for corporate sponsorships. There's a lot that can be done in Oakland. So, really, now, Corvette brings up a great point. He says, oh, Steve, I'll check out your question above. I'm going up. Corvette says Mark was blasting about not having enough parking if A's stay on the property. So he moves to Vegas with less parking. I'll add much less, Corvette. And he doesn't want to be in Oakland. Okay, why? I don't get why. All right. Now, Coog Snipe says, Crawford, we're still working on it. JPA needs to approve before next steps, which would be vote by the city and the county. By the way, that vote, the JPA decision, is September 15th. Oh, and Coog Snipe, I have an email that's going out to people. I have identified and talked to a potential litigation finance company, a litigation finance company that would be a potentially great. That would be a great organization to potentially work with, is what I'm trying to say, located right in San Francisco. And I'm going to connect the appropriate parties via email tonight. But I talked to them today, and it's called Legalist is the company, and the contact person there told me that the Forever Oakland, We Stand with Oakland case is a perfect candidate for litigation finance. You hear what I'm saying? So from that perspective, man, we're already in like Flint. Just letting you know that. So yes, I'm aware of where I'm saying this. This is great news. Okay, so we've got that. Todd Christensen says, good point question, Crawford. And now Steve Macy asked me to check his question way above. So I'm going way above, and there's Steve Macy. And Steve Macy said, would the league have voted for this if they knew he was willing to go broke to make it work? Steve, that is an awesome question. And I'll ask. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put that email out right now so I don't forget to ask that question. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that question out to the appropriate party right now, right this minute, as they say. Oh, and by the way, rest in peace to Glenn Campbell, one of the greats. One of the greats. Definitely one of the greats. So, let's see here. We've got compose. Writing this real quick. Question about Raiders and Las Vegas, Oakland Raiders. Excuse me. Oakland Raiders. Doggone it, there's Oakland Raiders and Las Vegas from viewers. And so hello, viewer wants to know if the NFL owners would have approved Oakland Raiders to Las Vegas if they had heard Mark Davis saying the move might cause him to go broke, as he said today on television in Las Vegas. Thanks. Let's see. Thanks, Zinni. And that is an email out to NFL. And hey, see what happens. I don't expect to get an answer tonight, but I did send off the email, and that's a fantastic question, okay? So, and hey, how are you? As well, we've got now, what do we have here? And let's see here. Now, I'll get to the water news, Rick. I want to get this out of the way in the comments. And Todd Christensen says, as I have said from almost the beginning, Mark Davis isn't going to Vegas to stay. He's just going there to sell the team, and the stadium is just a pretty bow. And I know I'm repeating what Todd Christensen said, but I thought it was the comment of the night so far. And Jamal Mills agrees with Todd. I agree with Todd. And let's see here. We've got the mention about Hennessy says Mark wanted everything for free here in Oakland. I mentioned that. This was the second best comment. Mark wanted everything here in Oakland free, but is willing to go broke in Las Vegas. That does not make sense. Karen Christensen also agrees with Todd. That's kind of a family thing, though. That's not right, man. That's nepotism, Karen. Just kidding. Go Raiders. Got his comment out of the way. And let's see here. We've got, now I'm getting to the new ones. Steve, I got your question. So I've got them all down on the row. I've got the murderer's row out of the way. And Corvette's comment regarding Mark complaining about parking. And Steve Macy says that Mark Davis wants to be out of his dad's legacy. And JT Day says the answer. Crawford 371 says the NFL has to be embarrassed. I got that one done. And okay, so now I'm going to work all the way down and Samson Mola Lava, who I've never seen before, is who? Welcome. Welcome. And all right. Now the new questions. Oh, wait a minute. Here. I've got, and Mick Rice, I'm not skipping or avoiding your question regarding water. It's just that we covered it before, so I want to get the new part out of the way before I circle back to that there. Welcome, everybody, to Zenny62 on YouTube, talking about Mark Davis saying that he expects to grow broke, solving the parking issues with respect to tailgating on the way toward the completion of planning, ostensibly, for the Oakland Raiders' new planned facility in Las Vegas. Ground reportedly expected to be broken in November for a date of completion that would be basically 2020, which just happens to be the NFL centennial year. So you see the mind spinning about this, okay? Now, we've got, let's see here, Crawford, Koo Snipes, thumbs up, and Crawford says, what was that executive director guy? And Raymond Pa says, how does B of A not have any concerns after this interview? Yeah, that's the question of the day. That is the new comment of the night by Raymond Paz, P-A-Z. How does Bank of America not have any concerns after that interview on Las Vegas television? And so, let's see here. We've got, oh good, you got rid of that person. Outstanding, that's gone. And so, we've got, okay, got rid of that. Henry Flores, how are you? Henry Flores says, Zenny, if this is such a bad deal and going down to the tubes, why don't the other Raider owners oust Mark Davis? They can't make an argument that he is mentally unstable. Well, first of all, Henry, and that's a great question, but a question that has also been asked before and answered before, but I'll do it again out of nothing but respect. Look, the way the Raiders management documents are written is such that the owners have no say. Okay? That's why. The only way the other owners would have any sway over a Raider issue, as I understand it, is if a moral clause were broken. And I don't see where a moral clause was broken at any point in time, but then, of course, I don't know everything. Now, your point of view is, hey, look, if I am an investor, I should rightly be concerned about getting back any potential return on my investment. And now I hear that our manager of the general partnership says he's going to go broke. And basically, does that mean he takes us with him? I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. All I'm explaining is that the reason why we haven't heard this publicly is this is not like a corporation that's on the Dow Jones or NASDAQ, where you have renegade shareholders at a public shareholder meeting who can come in and threaten to, as for example Gordon Gekko famously did in fictional Wall Street, fire all of these vice presidents with their yachting trips and flying first class and being comfortable, okay? This is not that situation. This is a lot more like the situation that Donald Trump is used to, where he is basically the lone board member, maybe with family, having smaller shareholder representations, but he has sole say-so. That is the situation that is something like the situation that Mark Davis has. You see what I'm getting at? Does that make sense? The owners are, for all practical purposes, silent. That is what we're looking at here. So, I hope that helps out. Now, let me go down, make sure I made people happy here. And we've got Pedro, let me see, Pedro, I haven't seen your name before. Let me see if I can get your pronunciation correct. Pedro Garlardo. Pedro Garlardo says, if somehow the Raiders stay in Oakland, can the Chargers move to Las Vegas? Media says Las Vegas mayor would take them. She has said that before. Chargers fan base in Los Angeles seems bad. I don't know where the Chargers fan base anywhere is so great that such a move would be fantastic for them. the bottom line is it doesn't matter if it's the Chargers or the Raiders, the economics are the same. And Las Vegas, unless Las Vegas is ready to pony up $1 billion more money of its own, I don't care if it's the Raiders or the Chargers or the Jaguars, there's still an infrastructure investment problem. That is to the tune of $1 billion. And it's sticking out like a sore thumb. You not only have lack of parking, you not only have lack of capacity along streets and roads, you also have a floodplain issue. Okay? And I don't care what anyone says. When you find a map like that, with that kind of designation, in terms of the 1% channel, and no other map that tells me, hey, those unincorporated areas can appropriately take away the rain, okay? Sorry. No, not at all. The retort I always get in that situation, Rick Rice, here's where the water matter comes in, all right? The retort that I always get is, well, it doesn't rain much in Las Vegas. So let's play with that, okay? So that means that it's okay to not have proper drainage, as is the case with so many properties along the Strip. Las Vegas is perhaps the perfect model of what it means to plan badly on a large scale. Now, on an individual scale, per property, the planning in terms of flow of people from here to there in many of the facilities, like for example, Encore is fantastic. Or Caesar's Palace with its grandeur, or the Venetian, where Sheldon Adelson has done a baffle job in creating a city within a city, is just awesome. But for the city of Las Vegas as a whole and Clark County unincorporated, the planning is just tearfully bad. It just is. And, you know, it's the byproduct of having a great entrepreneurial spirit. You want to tell people what to do too much, you let them do what they want to do as long as they can pay for it. But then, of course, you get the problems that we get today. Now, we've got, let's see here. Continuing on, preach your gospel. Okay, Jamal Mills says, wow, there's a lot of trolls. Okay, fine. Block them. You have my permission. Let me put it this way. How do I borrow from Star Trek, the original series? I think I will go like this to moderators. You have my permission to destroy the Enterprise. Acknowledge Lexington. Does that get it? And that is from a episode called The Ultimate Computer. One of the best episodes in science fiction television ever, starring William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and the incredible actor, that's right, William Marshall, who played Dr. Richard Daystrom, the developer of the Comtronic and Dualtronic systems that run the computers of the Enterprise and the Federation. All right, there's your Star Trek, the original series lesson for the night. Moderators, hack away. So, basically, Donis, I don't want to talk about that right now. Hennessy says, with all this negativity from Las Vegas, when are people going to realize that enough is enough? There's more negative news than positive, by far. But you know, hey, look, Mr. Davis is willing to go broke, right? So as long as he's willing to take that position, which I think is really odd, then, hey, bring on the bad news. It's going to rain on down. Rain on, what's that? It's going to rain down like that Rolling Stones song. Oh, the rain come down. Oh, man. You know what I'm saying? Okay, like that. So get ready, folks. Yeah, wow. It's, man, oh, man. So, we've got, let's see here. I don't know what's going on there. Sorry, people who are watching. We get occasionally folks that, you know, I like to block, and tonight's one of those nights. Because sometimes, you know, you got to give instruction to the moderator. But anyway, now, John Mark says, yeah, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need. Tim Balanegro says, why did the National Football League let the Raiders take on all this debt via a loan relocation fee. Because Mark Davis wanted it and Jerry Jones pushed the league toward it. There's a power struggle in the league going on. On one side, you have the new NFL Hall of Famer, Jerry Jones, the Maverick, who believes that the NFL's future is in entertainment areas and wants more of an entertainment focus. Remember, and we talked about this the other night with Grizz, that Grizz Jones of Forever Oakland, that the Hall of Fame conversation with Jerry Jones after the ceremony was punctuated by a statement he made, he being Jerry Jones, that only 7% of NFL fans go to the games. So by that measure, how do we analyze what's going on with this Vegas issue? Are we saying that it's got nothing to do with fans and everything to do with television? That's what it sounds like. Because as long as that's the case, Jerry Jones has made the statement that his faction of the league isn't loyal to the generations old season set of families that own season tickets, right? Hey, those folks, whatever. It's married to the idea of the anticipated enormous money that can be gotten from television and entertainment areas like Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Now, where North Korea might come into play is perhaps some, danger to those regions, but I digress. I was kidding. It was a joke. It was a bit of a joke, okay? But something that's not a joke is the fact that the National Football League wants, on a per locale basis, an average $25 million in local revenue annually. And there are a number of places that fall below that threshold. Oakland among them, which impacts the Raiders. But you would ask yourself the question, why would the league not powerfully insist on the Raiders staying in Oakland if it were not for the idea that perhaps they couldn't extract that much money from the region with the Niners sitting there hogging the Super Bowl effort, okay, as opposed to having a joint shared arrangement like the one that's being contemplated by Baltimore and Washington. Okay, I'll get back to your comments. Let's see here. We've got working forward, and Tony Filing says something I think was interesting, because I'm working up to look at comments I may have missed. Is it possible, Mr. Filing says, that Mark threw in the white towel, then turned around and tried to sell Adelson and not let the team come back to Oakland? I don't know. That's a little bit of a complicated go there, Tony. I'm going to take another stab at that. You're saying that, you're saying that he may have tried to sell the Raiders to Adelson and not let the team come back to Oakland. That was an original plan I read about last fall before their relationship unraveled. Okay? Where I read that the plan was for Davis, who doesn't have kids, to turn the Raiders over to Adelson's kids, who he had, I guess, come to think of as family. Then all of this supposedly fell apart, okay? So there's something there. And Henry Flores says, if Mark Davis sells the team, does that include the other owners' shares as well? Yeah, it does. I mean, in any case, that's something that comes to play with investors here. Zenny 62. If I sell at price X, I have to pay all of you your percentages of Zenny 62 Media as they stand at the time of sale. That's the idea. Okay? So that's the idea with the Raiders. No one takes your money and then says, oh, we have your money, but oh, by the way, we're sold and you're not going to get anything. The only way that happens is that if you were diluted out, and something else here, this is really something I want people, the John Markses and the Go Warriors and the Rick Rices and everyone in the world to pay attention to. When you are considering a company and you're investing in a company, make absolutely certain that you're being protected against being diluted out of it. I don't know how many people saw The Social Network, the movie based on the founding of Facebook and the rise of Mark Zuckerberg, right? Well, in that movie, the person, Eduardo Salverin, all right, was frozen out in that way. He didn't have a non-dilution clause. I've had non-dilution clauses in every business I set up for other shareholders, so they don't get what happened to Eduardo Salverin happening to them. Okay, so there you go. Now, let's see here. We've got, and I got the as far as the whole B of A thing. That's the second point. And let's see where we are. Maurice Keith says Jerry Jones will operate the stadium regardless of its NFL tenant, and a forced sale to the sale of Faritas if Mark defaults is an NFL win also. You'd think they would allow that, or maybe it's an anticipation of the gambling situation. I'm not willing at this point to readily pull that trigger. I understand the move was approved, but the approval of the move does not wash away issues with the legalities of gambling in sports. At some point, there are observers who believe they will be washed away. And I'm not trying to throw out a pun with respect to floods, but I'm saying the matter of gambling as being feared as becoming involved in sports too much so is still a powerful fear among many people. Less so than before, yes, but still enough such that it hasn't, that stigma has not been completely shattered. Okay, that's where we're at. So, and Maurice Keith said it best: legal sports betting in New Jersey is Mark's golden ticket. If it happens, okay. Lyle Lynn says, can't they just maintain a minority stake? Well, if you're talking about, there's a difference between having a minority stake and diluting it out of it, okay? And that depends on whether or not you're set up with preferred stock or common stock. But regardless, you still need a non-dilution clause. It doesn't matter the level of stock. You don't want to get diluted out of it. Someone could come along and say, I'm going to buy all these shares of stock. I'm going to give this price. And everybody's wiped out, okay? Everybody. So we'll buy everyone's, all right? But when they do that, you want to make sure you have your shares, okay? That happens. You want to make sure that your shares are such that they're intact and they're not taken away. And that could happen. Someone could say, I want to buy everything, and say, I want to buy you out, all right, and leave you with nothing. But with a non-dilution clause, you don't get pushed out and away. They have to deal with you in a different way. They can buy this chunk, okay? You're here. It makes your shares that much richer. But if they want to buy you, they have to pay you. And then you're gone. But you have to get paid. You have to get paid. Now, that is entirely different. And it says nothing about who has control. So we have two discussions here, and I want to make sure that this is not only understood, but also explaining it correctly. Because there are two things that could happen. If I decide I want to buy some company, or in the case of Zenny 62 Media, if someone comes in and buys all of our shares, you guys are represented. Period. They come in and give you the option. Do you want to sell your shares or stay in? If you want to stay in, that person buys the other shares. Your shares become more valuable. The sale is consummated. Your shares are still there. You don't get paid because you didn't sell your shares, but the shares you have are worth that much more. So you can wait until the sale is in place. Your shares are worth more, and then you turn around and then work a separate deal with that same person, because now your shares are worth more maybe than they would have been during the initial offering of that by that investor, because somebody else is going to come along, some bigger fish is going to come along and say, okay, boy, I want all those shares, and I'll take that person's shares even though they were 10 times more than they were when the other fish came along. That's how it works. That's how it works. But under a non-dilution clause, you have to be given the option of wanting to go there, as opposed to, oh, hey, it's gone, and you, oh boy, I'm sorry, we just sold your shares. For how much? Well, you know, we sold you, we sold it for this much, and you get that much. You mean I have no say? Well, you didn't sign a non-dilution clause. What can we do? Okay? All right. Now, we got through that. Phew. Tony Piling says, this is payback for all of Mark's dirty tricks. Todd Christensen says, that's how Del Davis got control of the team. The rules were passed that kept them from happening again. Yeah. And Corvette says, Mark is going to destroy the Rays if they go to Vegas. Eric Madison said, hey, Zinni, I believe this was to put a vote on a ballot of the citizens of Nevada to vote no. Eric, what do you mean by that? And I believe I missed some comments. Like JT Day said, continued from the above, person could become the managing general partner, which is precisely how Al became managing general partner in the first place. And let's see here. JT Day says, if the minority ownership chose one among them to take all the shares and become the primary majority stock shareholder. And except that I don't believe that the Raiders documents, the way they're written, as I understand them, I haven't seen them, allow that. Okay, I'll do some research on that. Flash of Thunder says, but there's not enough evidence that building a stadium in Las Vegas will create jobs. Granted. Pedro gives a thumbs up to Karen. And Karen says, because Karen made a comment that everyone likes, which is, and Karen says, I am wondering why the people in Nevada are going along with this deal. Maybe there's a desperate need for jobs and they're willing to overlook the mess. Karen, you hit up on it. There is a desperate need for jobs, and it's not so much they're willing to overlook the mess. They very much acknowledge the mess, but they're willing to deal with the mess as long as jobs come out of it. And that's why you have this very sad disagreement between black and brown and white with respect to the laborers, and the involvement of Union Local 872, which has a spotty record with respect to people of color in Las Vegas. It is not stellar, let's put it that way, okay? So, it just isn't. So, Maurice Keith said, legal sports betting in New Jersey allows Davis to pursue casino money. The NFL will change its policy if the Supreme Court rules in favor of the current case they're going to hear. Right, and that's a big if. Because that hasn't happened. But Maurice, you're absolutely right. And so, that was just before Karen's comment. And John Mark says, this is like these South Park episodes where one of the kids go to a bank and the banker says, and it's gone. So, we've got going down now, after everyone has agreed with Karen. We go further down, and we find that Eric Madison said something about the vote that I would like a follow-up on. Gen Y Progressive 83 asks, why is the media so anti-Oakland and so pro-Vegas? I don't recall any news outlet talking about Mark rejecting the option to stay because he didn't like red seats in Levi Stadium, which is true. The answer is because the media, by and large, wants to retain what it believes to be access to the players, which it believes makes them money with the fans. I argue, just by my own experience, less than has been true in the past. I remember, well, actually this happened today. I ran across an article after I was on Nestor Apparicio's show. By the way, the podcast from that's going to come out this Thursday. and I announced Forever Oakland to the world. Anyway, the author of this article that I ran across said basically that Nestor was attacking the owners and therefore trying to say that the person wasn't a legitimate news site because they attacked the Orioles owners. And I thought, this is the craziest take I've ever seen in my entire life. And it made me respect Nestor more for taking on Orioles management in 2013, which prompted that kind of response on the part of the person who wrote that ridiculous post, okay? So you don't have a lot of people like me or Nestor Apparatio in the Bay Area. For example, I had a Raider press credential. And to make a long story short, I gave it back because the kind of media I wanted to do, they didn't want me to do. Even though I made it clear prior to the press box that I wanted to set the record at Oakland Raiders preseason game of 2015 for the most YouTube uploads for an NFL game, a single NFL game. That was my objective. I tried. It came close. But I don't even know what the record is. What am I talking about? It came close. It's a ridiculous statement on my part to make. My ego. Anyway, Will Kiss says, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. And I said, well, I told you I was going to do it. Before the game, you acknowledged the email, said nothing about that part of it. And, we're still friends, but I said, you know what? The best thing to do is for you to keep the credential because this is not the kind of media that makes money for me. People who sit in the press boxes do nothing but, they diddle on Twitter. And I would rather be out and interviewing the fans as you've seen me do. And players. I like connecting via vlogging. So, but my point is, Karen, that my approach is not the norm still. There are people who want that access, and so they'll trumpet anything the team puts out there to make it seem like, oh, we love them and we love anything that they do and all that stuff when they're just trying to maintain access. That's what that's all about. So, and so basically, actually, a Gen Y progressive said that. Sorry, not Karen Christensen. I apologize. My fault. And so we've got. Oh, here I found Eric. Eric, I found your comment, and I'm going up again. I got Gen Y progressive's question done. JT Day says Mark going broke is only 18 to 23 % of what the team is worth. Well, if he says going broke, though, there's a difference. And JT Day, that is an excellent point. And it was a question. But let's treat it as such, okay? Let's treat it as such. Okay? If Mark is able to do something that's called an owner's draw, that means that he can draw down money more than his value, okay, that goes to a team investment. That if the Raiders rules are written in such a way that he has the opportunity to do that, that's what an owner's draw means. So his saying, I'm willing to go broke, is really a dangerous comment that unmoors Davis from the whole I only own 20 or 23% perspective. You see what I'm getting at? He is the principal owner. And the principal owner has control over the coffers. So if he says he's willing to go broke, he means the team. Translation, he's willing to take the team and himself down. That is what he means because he views the Raiders, rightly, as his. That's what you're hearing. And so from that point, yes, you should be absolutely concerned. Now, there you go, okay? So, you get that, Mr. Day? Thank you for the great comment. And JT Day says, I have seen them, the papers, but Zinni, investigate! Got it? And let's see, Go Raiders says, this is one stream that has a lot of trolls, good grief. Well, then block them. Don't give warnings. Block them. Okay? So, all right. JT Day says, haha, and it's gone. Eric Madison says, I mean, it was put on ballot for the citizens to vote. Oh, instead of the politicians, the stadium proposal will be turned down. Hope that's a better explanation. I get it, yeah, if it was. But it wasn't. John Marks says, Mark Davis put money inside a Nevada bank, and the banker says, and it's gone. Corey Brown says, yet the Union Local 872 keeps trying to make it seem like they're always above board in dealing with different ethnic groups. And yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Corey, because the sad fact of the matter is that 872 has a bad track record. In fact, I was listening to a Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting, and I started to break this out. And it went something like this. There was this bearded guy that had the 872 on his black shirt, right? And he was talking about how, reading statistics about how they had provided jobs for minorities and Indians, okay, on this specific project that they referred to. And then this woman, a short, blonde, white woman, fairly attractive, very well spoken, says she's the owner of her own business and said some great things about that. But then she turned around and said something that made me say, what? And what she said was that she's Native American, okay? She said she is Native American. And I thought, wait, you're Native American, right? Okay. So if you're Native American, that's interesting because the 872 person, when he was reading off the ethnic statistics, said that they hadn't provided jobs for any Native Americans. All right, so where's the truth here? He's saying that no Native Americans were hired, and yet you're saying you're Native American? Are you saying that you're Native American just for, ethnic window dressing? Do you ethnically window dress a project like that? She said, I'm involved in the project and I'm a Native American. Whereas the previous speaker talking about the same project said we didn't hire any Native Americans. All right? That's the kind of communication issue that I hear coming out of the Raiders issue in Las Vegas, and I go, oh, man, what the heck is going on here? All right? That's what I'm talking about. So, there you go, Mr. Brown. Thank you for pointing that out. John Marks got a good laugh with Katie. And Jim White Progressive says, so the media has to baby and enable these team owners to get access to players. Another reason teams should be community owned like the Packers. Oh, there you go. Hennessy says, Mark Davis, just remember your friend. Hennessy is saying this to Mark Davis. Keep your friends close. Keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. From The Godfather. And let's see here. We've got, hey, guess who is among us? Boss Yoruda. Boss, welcome. Juan Ramirez is in the house. Bank of America should immediately remove themselves away from Davis going broke statement. And Boss Yoruda says Davis is epitome of business acumen. With his tongue wildly in his cheek. Rick Rice says, hey, Zinni, can you explain how Mark Davis might go broke again? I missed that part. Thanks. Yes, well, not go broke again because I'm not implying that there was another time that he did. But let me get to that in a second. Karen Christensen asks, I am wondering if people are setting up an address in Las Vegas to get one of those jobs offered even though they are in another state. Yeah, that's happening a lot, Karen. And yes, and that's going to gum up things. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, let's see here. Baller says, hi, Zenny. If Oakland gave the land to the NFL, who would build a stadium? I don't quite understand that question. The idea was for the stadium to be built and owned by the Raiders and the NFL. So Kevin KD says, Stephen Ross is Mark Davis' only real friends among the NFL owners. Actually, it's Jerry Jones. Mark Davis has come a long way. All right, he's got a lot of friends among the owners. He has fought to straight out say it, have himself taken seriously. Which is, considering he owns the Raiders, you would think it's something he shouldn't have to do, but he did. the Raiders have had a lot of problems, and I think in some ways the Raiders financially may have been somewhat in the same shape or similar to the Dallas Cowboys when Jerry Jones took them over in terms of losing money and dead contracts. When Jerry Jones took over the Dallas Cowboys from H.R. Bum Bright, when he was the owner, as I understand it, the Cowboys losing $1 million a month, $12 million a year. It's a lot of money. So he had to turn that around. I believe that there was a similar reclamation job that had to be done in Oakland. So, so there you go. Now we've got a lot of comments here, and we've got Juan Ramirez says, "Great win, boss." And we've got KD says, "Mark Davis, hastily bad business sense is making my head hurt." Your head. Whew. And then Kev KD goes on and says, "And why? Why would Las Vegas Sands want to keep pouring money into a sinkhole?" Yeah. Juan Ramirez says further up, "Bank of America should immediately remove themselves away from Davis going broke statement," which I've said before, so now I'm starting to repeat myself, which means I'll go down and pick up comments I have not read before. And so, let's see here. Boss says, "B of A being so quiet for a reason they won't show squat and don't have to." He's correct. Boss is. Juan Ramirez says, "Great win, boss." And you're so correct. John Mark says, I have placed a ban on B of A. Kevin KD says, "But she can still claim white heritage and benefit off her privilege. That's messed up." Yeah, you guys completely lost me there. Boss Ruler says, I have been banned, B of A. Boss Ruler says, "Las Vegas is Kabuki Theater." Yes, correct. Raider Flea, how are you? Blues Leonard, how are you? I support Forever Oakland, says Blues Leonard. Kevin KD says, "I actually came across an article that portrayed Mark Davis as a savvy and persistent businessman, which eventually helped him land the lucrative Las Vegas deal." Now, I second that Mr. Davis is a maverick and he's definitely smart. But my observation, knowing him little as I do, Grizz knows him much better than I do, is that he lets his emotions come into play at key points in a business decision such that it could be potentially harmful. And I'm not saying he does this all the time, but he is doing it in this instance. There's a deeply emotional reason he's doing this. And to an extent where it would seem to go beyond logic. Okay? So, well, it does go beyond logic. Okay? So, yeah, we missed you, Raider Flea. Welcome back. And Donna says, "How can we remain focused over Raider football with Vegas?" On Raider football with Vegas. I think he wait a minute. And JT Day says, "This entire Vegas, Davis, any first name ownership, Native American stuff is hurting my head." JT Day then follows up and says, "Oakland Raider football was supposed to be my escape from the stupidity of life, not the stupidity of my life." Oh, go Raiders, and I share to laugh on that one. And let's see here. Hey, Raider Hernandez, great to see you. Great to have you here. And let's see here. I'm great. Boss Ruler says, "Donis, never." In answer to questions posed by Donis, where he says, "How can we remain focused over Raider football with Vegas?" Okay. And Kevin KD says, "I meant the white blonde woman who claimed to be Native American." Yeah, that was bizarre, man. That was really bizarre, okay? But it smacked of the kind of potential games that are played with respect to ethnicity and construction that come into play in projects that blacks in Las Vegas are rightly concerned about, okay? I have heard stories of people, black laborers, showing up to projects in Las Vegas, promised work and money, and getting neither. And being sent home. "Oh, sorry, there's no work." "But you told me there was work." "There's no work. Get out of here. We're going to have you arrested for trespassing." I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. Okay? I have this paper, this document. Well, sorry, there's no work. Okay? But you guys promised. Sorry, go home. Okay? A lot of bad history there. A lot of bad history there. So, Eric Madison says, as Zinni said before the Raiders with a new stadium in Oakland, the Raiders will be worth $1.1 billion more than Vegas. That's correct, and I'm glad you remembered that. I said that, and that's true. Because people have talked about the Bay Area as if Oakland can't build anything, and so they set up Oakland as this stupid straw person argument. Like, oh, nothing can be built in Oakland, but oh, we can build something in Vegas, and oh, look, hey, Vegas is more valuable than Oakland because they have a new stadium, as opposed to building a new stadium in Oakland, right? No one wants to do the math over here. So it becomes out to be bad math. And then they put it on television. Oh, get me started. Wow. I mean, horrible stuff, okay? I'm going to go until 1 o'clock, folks. 1 o'clock Eastern. It is now 12:40 in the morning. So, by the way, please, glad to have everybody. Welcome. And please invest whatever you can right here in Zenny62. Much appreciated. Nobody's putting any money on Super Chat. $2, $5, $10. Come on, folks. Keep this going. I'm going to sound like Alex Jones on, what is it called, InfoWars? Because this does feel like InfoWars, doesn't it? And if you want to keep the truth going, please, your investment at any level. Karen Christensen, you've been beautiful at this. Thank you very much. I understand you've done what you can do, and I love you for it. Hey, Karen put in $1 or $3 or whatever. I love it. $20, $30, love that too. $200, wow, that'd be really great. Can go a long way. But please, if you like this train, keep it going. And not only that, if you are at a place where you're saying, well, gee, I don't know what I can invest, at least take this link and put it on Facebook. Put it out there to make sure that people see this right now. Just all you got to do is put a link, put it on your Facebook page. Right now. In fact, 10, count of 10, okay? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, okay? Oh, Karen, Super Chat is this. If you go down here, I'm going to show you what Super Chat is, okay? This is Super Chat, right? That is Super Chat. So if you want to contribute, what you do is you press this button like that, and you say send a Super Chat, okay? And there's the Super Chat, all right? That's that. So basically, I've given $2 to myself. That's how you do a Super Chat, okay? That's how you do a Super Chat, okay? So there you go. So we go back here, and all right, you hit buy and send. Okay, hit buy and send like that. Okay. Or you can, of course, you don't want to hide the chat, all right? But you want to show the chat, and then it comes back. And see, Boss Ru, hey, he's now an investor. Woohoo! Woohoo! Celebration! Celebration! Boss Ruler is in. The man is in, okay? The man is in. I'm trying to get rid of my thing here. And that's the thing. When you do this, it's kind of like, so you can pop out the chat like that, okay? And so there's the pop out like that. And so it comes open there, okay? So here we go, all right? Isn't that cool? I like that. So there it is. And thank you very much, Baus. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Now he's going to get special emails that all the other investors get. Well, he's a special friend, so he gets some of them, all right? But that's how it works, all right? So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Baus has set the tone. Baus has set the tone. Yeah, Baus does not like Cliff Branch because of the whole Vegas issue. John Marks is right. Jim Otto is John Wayne, isn't he? Now, I'm going back to comments I missed. Hope you saw that, Karen. So, and Boss Your Ruler says Crawford, all bad. And John and Baus, which is worth Branch, Marcus Allen, or Howie Long. Ooh. Kevin KD says the comment about ingress. Well, hold on a second. Tony Piling has interesting comment here. There are a lot of interesting comments I missed here. Blues Leonard says, are the fans at training camp pro Vegas? You know, I don't get that sense. Well, of course, I just went to one, but they're very pro Oakland, staying in Oakland. Among the players I interviewed, there's a lot of resignation to the idea because they have no control over it. But the people, by and large, don't want the Raiders to leave. But not only that, you have to remember something. The Raiders are in Oakland, and people tend to react to things when they're done at the last minute, right? So, but the Raiders are in Oakland right now, and they're getting ready to play their next season, the 2017 season, in Oakland, and that's what people are focused on. They're not in Las Vegas. But there are people who want the Raiders to stay in Oakland. So, Harry Dunn. Now, hold on a second. Harry Dunn says, Boss Rule says, haha, I'm sorry. No way is he Mr. Davis. Only Al holds that distinction. John Mark says, he's Mr. Davis to me. I give him that respect. We've had that conversation. Karen Bossy Ruler says that. John Mark says Las Vegas is Kabuki Theater with makeup. Harry Dunn says, remember, when Mark Davis said a couple of years ago in regard to what he wants in a stadium location, I want ingress, egress, and parking. What a joke. Yeah, because he did say that. And see, that's when the Raiders get into trouble regarding good faith. Hey, you wanted all this from us. You wanted ingress, egress, and parking. Now you're doing this. And yet you were willing to take us through the ringer on this matter in Oakland. And now you're allowing Las Vegas to do that? Something's wrong. Okay? Something's wrong. And so Harry Dunn, laugh out loud, quite classic. And yeah, it is classic. Richard Carson says, off topic, Cliff Branch needs to be in the Hall of Fame, the next Raider. And now I see where that started. Oh man, you and Boss got into that one. We have a war here regarding that. I like Cliff Branch. I also like Jim Plunkett. But let's deal with that one another time, okay? I'll read the comments, but I'm not going to pick up that one here primarily. At this point, it's 12:48. Blues Leonard says, are the fans at Training Camp Pro Vegas? I answered that question. Kevin KD said that's what he said, replying to reject a move to Levi Stadium, talking about the seat color. Crawford 371 says he's in Mark's Hall of Fame, talking about Cliff Branch, I believe. And Tony Piling says maybe Mark wants to destroy everything his father created. Can't help but think that. I do get that impression, you know? I do get that impression. And the boss is hating on the idea of Cliff Branch in the Hall of Fame. Now, John Mark says, Cliff Branch should be ashamed of himself since he's pro Vegas. Kevin KD says the comment about ingress and egress and tailgating, which he claimed that Levi's did not have, which was his convenient excuse to leave the Bay Area. One of many. Pedro Gallardo says, I missed the beginning of your live stream, but where in the process will it go broke? If he goes broke before he leaves, can he still use Ronnie Lott money if that exists? It never really existed at all. There's no Ronnie Lott money. As I understand it, there was no consummated investment by Ronnie Lott. However, I do believe there was a consummated investment by Sheldon Adelson that helped the Raiders buy the land. Okay, so, but to answer your question, if he looks like he's going to go broke here, if this deal's not penciling out, see, that's the thing with the Raiders and the NFL. If something isn't going to pencil out, and I believe Mark Davis made this comment, and you know what? I got to find that comment. That'll make a really interesting video comparison, right? Davis had said that Bedane had talked something in the language of the deal not penciling out. If it doesn't pencil out, the numbers don't work. Then they wouldn't do it. So now you have Davis admitting that these numbers aren't going to work. Okay? It looks like it. Wow. Got that, Pedro? Richard Carson, sell out or not, numbers don't lie. That's right. Numbers don't lie. And Crawford says, John and Boss, which is worse? Branch? Well, I got that part out of the way. I was trying to repeat myself. Let me go down here. Boss had invested $2. Anyone else want to enjoy Boss and investing? And I will say, invest. Now, what's great about the PayPal money is I can use the PayPal money immediately. The other, I have to wait, until the next go around, which is like August 22nd. Okay, so just letting you know. Just letting you know. Yeah, September 15th. So, Frosty the Snowman was banned. Okay. Let's see here. Not by me, but he was banned. Hey, Frosty, you listening to this? You want to get it back in? You got to apologize for whatever it was you did. What you did, I don't know. But you pissed off one of the moderators, and hey, they have control. Sorry, that's just the way it is. I trust my moderators. Coog Snipe says, Rick, there's a JPA meeting coming up, September 15th, I might add. Once they approve it, it goes to the city and the county for a vote. Once that's done, next step will be determined. Coog Snipe, litigation marketing. I'm saying again, do not rely on the politicians. I have uncovered a company that is willing to help. Don't go in that direction. You leave it to the politicians. You know what? Even to put in $100,000 each, I think that's a bad idea. And that's a lousy idea. I'm just letting you know. 10,000 symbolically here and there, fine, but 100,000, no. Leave them no room for escape. I'm telling you from experience, the city of Oakland, the county of Alameda will find that room. You give them that room, they'll find that room. I'm just letting you know how they are, okay? They'll find it. They really will. So I would not be for that. I would get a litigation finance company as soon as I possibly could. So, and Jamal Mills says, Barry, you may need to change your subscribe settings. Rick Rice says, hey, Zinni, what's the next step with Forever Oakland Lawyers? Coog Snipe said it. September 15th, JPA meeting. And Juan Ramirez says, I will invest every other week. I believe Zinni stick to media and stand with Oakland from the 5:59. And Juan Ramirez, you're more than welcome. Thank you so much. Go Warriors has blocked 9 people. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Go Warriors has said, hey, Barry, block any and all people who are being mean. He's right. He's absolutely right. There you go. No mercy tonight, folks, because there's too many people around here that have great things to say and information to share and questions to ask. I don't want their attempt to express themselves encroached upon by nasty people. I don't want it. So there you go. Karen Christian says, I hope the Raiders know what the Raider Nation is doing for them and how much we really love them. I think they do. There's a lot of confusion in this whole thing. And so Joseph Jones says, Zinni, my question is, why no one in the media is asking why Davis is willing to borrow money for Vegas and not Oakland? I'm going to ask again, see if I can get an answer. And so JT Day says, Zinni, if I invest in you and you go broke, will B of A cover my investment? I'm not going broke, okay? Because this is actually growing too. In fact, it really is growing, okay? So, but my finances are not impacted here. This is strictly, I'm not using this as a piggy bank where I'm drawing off that. I mean, it is working capital, okay? But I have other income coming from other sources for other things. But in this instance, the growth of Zinni 62 is both revenue and traffic. It's a combination. So, look, I was about to go on a rant about the explanation, but don't worry. No, you don't have to worry about that. But B&B covering your investment like insurance, like your investment insurance, that is a good idea. You know what, though? Let me investigate that as part of the secondary market. That's a good idea to explore. Remind me of that. That's a very good idea. You gave me an idea. You're making my brain tick, tock, tick, tock, tick. Okay. Harry Flores says, I'll be honest, I had to dump a woman because she was pro Vegas. I told her by Felicia. Uh, Harry Dunn says, Kevin KD, exactly. He claimed he wanted the tailgating experience, but now he wants parking garages for the new stadium. He, Mark Davis, can't make up his mind and is untrustworthy. So you got, yeah, so that I covered all that. Now we've got JT Day says what Mark's doing makes no sense. Maybe the National Hockey League should require ownership to do drug testing. I think he meant the NFL. I'm not insinuating anything. Yes, I am. I don't think it's drugs. I just think that he's desperate to make a deal for reasons that are not being told entirely to us. That's the only logical explanation I can come up with for the craziness that's going on with us. Okay? And it is. And Russell Road is a flood zone. Sorry, as John Marks has repeated and I've said. Bosch Ruler says they don't want Goodell, Grubman on stand, and Davis has no chance in hell versus Quinn. Grant Seeley, let's see here. We've got Stadia Productions. Welcome. Stadia Productions says, hey Stadia, love to have you. Invest, please. Whatever you can afford. Ta-da. Link comes up right there in the chat. Ta-da. Okay. Now, Stadia Productions says, do you see the National Football League expanding anytime soon? Like, okay. Might be a way to get a team back into markets like Oakland, San Diego, and St. Louis who lost a team. Oakland could retain the Raider name then with the lawsuit. I don't see the expanding league anytime, quote, soon, like the next 5 years, unless it's done by a court decree. That would be the only way. I do see continued franchise shifts, like, for example, Buffalo is one consistently mentioned possibility, as is Jacksonville. Both of those teams, if they move, would be rebranded. That's for certain. Jacksonville more so than Buffalo because Buffalo has, so much of a history in the AFL. It's 12:56, folks. I'm going to sign off in 4 minutes. Tomorrow night, special time at 8:30 p.m. Actually, the same time as this one. But I'm going to have a special guest, Melissa Rubin, to come on and talk about the Baltimore Ravens. And as we go into training camp and their unofficial roster and where the Ravens' story with Colin Kaepernick is from the standpoint of this longtime season holder and Baltimore Ravens superfan and friend of mine who's also a blogger on Zenny62.com and has been for some time. Even also has her own NFL credentials set up by Zenny62 Media. Show you some of the perks of vlogging with Zenny62 Media, sticking with us. I'll get you in where you want to be. So, there we go. We've got 12:57, and Rick Rice. Go Raiders says he's got 11 trolls tonight. Hey, Go Raiders is he's counting up the trolls like they're strikeouts. Not bad. He's got 11 Ks for the night. I like that. 11 Ks for the night. Don't forget to invest, folks. So, Crawford says bring Boltman back on the show. Great idea. And we've got Richard Carson says good night from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Go Raiders. Donald Smith says I heard Tennessee is also thinking relocation. Yeah, Don, I'm glad you reminded me of that because I saw that. That's 3. That's 3. The Oakland Titans? Let's see what would fit. I know everyone's going to say no. The Oakland Titans? Nah. The Oakland Jaguars? Nah. The Oakland Bills? The Oakland Bills? Nah. Nah. Forget it. See you guys. Hey, I'm going to start signing off and say it's 12:58. When it's 12:59, I'm going to start happy trailing it. Again, the Oakland Panthers. Oh, golly. The Oakland Panthers. You know, which reminds me of something. Speaking of the Raiders and history and sports and American culture, You know, it's if you're wondering, Glenn Campbell was a Raider player. There was a Raider player named Glenn Campbell, but that was not the same Glenn Campbell as the man who passed away. A man who's had songs that I love, like Rhinestone Cowboy and Wichita Lineman, and wow, great songs. Songs that, when I think of great Glenn Campbell, I think of driving cross country in America. That's what Glenn Campbell means to me. Glenn Campbell, a great American, and rest in peace. God bless his soul. Good night, everybody. I'll see you guys, I'll see you guys. You can bet your last money. It's all been a stone gas, honey. Gotcha. See you all tomorrow. Remember, Melissa Rubin, tomorrow, we'll tune in at 8:30 and get started. Now, you the man, Rick Rice. You the man. And thank you all for your investments. Thank you, boss, for joining our investment group. Anybody else, PayPal. Again, if it's $2 or, 20 or whatever, boom, right there. Please, shares will get out to you the same night. And hey, folks, particularly you, watch for your special email. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you. Thank you.